From the dawn of time, our ancestors have left us with the tales. Stories which speak of things that they have seen and lived alongside by, feared, respected, and even looked to some of them as godlike. Modern man refers to such things as spirits, extraterrestrials, demons, cryptids, creatures and entities of all kinds, and so much more. These things and tales are now referred by most as myths and legends. But there are those of us that know what our ancestors spoke of was the truth. Those of us that have become obsessed in searching for answers and finding out the truth are here. We need the truth. This search brings us into the realm of the unexplained and unknown. It brings us on the trail. The search for living legends. Please join JR and I on the quest, and welcome to the search.
Cannot wait to get into this conversation. We are going to be talking about some awesome stuff. We have a great guest, great guy, great researcher. We've really been looking forward to this one. We have with us tonight Mr. Nick Valente. Nick, how is it going, my friend? Thank you for coming on, and it is an honor.
Hey, Jeremiah. Great being on with you.
Great to have you here, man. Like I said, we've been really excited about this, and looking forward to a great conversation.
Oh, excellent.
Next, we have Mr. Nathan Rudd. Nate, how's it going, man?
Going good, guys. Glad to be here.
By the way,
what's that?
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Really happy to have Nick on. He's kind of become a friend of mine, over the last few months or maybe a year, I guess. And it's good to see you, Nick. Thanks for
you deserve it, Nick. Or Nate. You really do. So
thanks, buddy. Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, dream come true. Thank you.
Absolutely. And you'll be seeing me in October, so be ready.
Sounds good.
Last and most certainly not least, my brother from another mother, we've got Mr. Gary Spikes Jr., the one and only.
Howdy. Want to apologize for my last couple of weeks of absences. We've been hitting it hard down here in the South, but we are back and excited about this.
Yes, we certainly are.
I was just sitting here thinking, though, I'm outnumbered now. Got 3 Yankees and 1 Southern boy. I'm outnumbered. Well, I guess you could call you a Yankee, Nate, because you're like above the Mason-Dixon, but you're over in the West.
Yeah. Hey, the important thing is we're all conservative brothers and Second Amendment guys.
Absolutely.
To that.
Absolutely.
That makes everything okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Same team.
It's all that matters. It's all that matters, man. So anyway, we've been looking really forward to this. We've our last this whole year has been phenomenal with season 2 of the show. With the addition of Gary and Nate. Yeah. It's the numbers are just right up there. And
well, not only the numbers, but the friendships and the brotherhood.
Yeah, that obviously that's the more important part.
And the quality of information.
Yes.
I mean, we have not had a non-phenomenal guest yet this year. And
not one time.
Ever since Nate's our good luck charm, man. Ever since we brought Nate on, it's like show after show after show. And this is not going to be any different. This one's going to be right up there too. I can already tell you by just the private conversations that we've had.
Yes, absolutely. And I actually, I was telling Nate, I talked to Dolly Sandra DePutra last night at about 1 a.m. and he's coming on the second week in April, so we can add him to the list of extraordinary guests we got coming on.
Well, cool.
Nice.
So he's going to talk to us a little bit about orangutan and a pen deck.
Well, I tell you what, I want to hear about some Dogman from New Jersey.
I do too. I do too.
Let's get
I
into
decided to
this.
throw that out there, give you a little tease. But anyway, Nick, this is your show. You speak when you want to speak. We just basically let you talk. Every once in a while, something catches our attention. We may pop in, cut you off, ask it real quick, then let you continue, and then we'll get to that point where we, just have a discussion.
Okay.
But how did you now let's stick with the Dogman.
Well, before we go there, though, Jeremiah, there's one key point here. I don't want to interrupt you, but we need to have Nick first rattle out of the box, talk about his background and his training.
Yes.
Because that's going to lead to the details of the sightings and what he's been doing for the past 20 years. Absolutely.
Yep. Nick, could you give us a little bio on yourself?
A little bio would be law enforcement in the state of New Jersey. I was on the county SWAT team, so I got a lot of training there. I became the team entry captain. That only means that you're the guy that goes in the door first, so you catch the bullet. A lot of training there. I mean, I've been shooting a gun since I was 6 years old. Dad really, tried to get me prepared for life in that respect. Anyway, besides being a New Jersey cop, I later became a federal police officer. Sheep dipped out. I've been paramilitary. Yeah. I've been in a couple of different parts of the world with a certain, like I told Gary, I can't mention the name, and hopefully he won't mention it either. A certain private military contracting company. So I got a lot of experience out there. But as far as the police work goes, that's where you get the investigative experience from.
Yes.
Long before any of that happened, when I was in my, it started in grammar school, I got into the paranormal, and I was into that for the longest time till I was like 16, and then it just like fluttered out because I wasn't going anywhere with it. My mantra is to prove or disprove something. I got into cryptozoology because I started reading about the Yeti, started reading about the Wendigo. I knew nothing of a Dogman back then in my early days. I read about things like the Mothman, the Chupacabra, and I started to get a heavy interest in that. So over the years, my interest evolved into cryptozoology. Recently, I took, last year, I just graduated from a cryptozoology course, a diploma course. Actually, 2 of them I took, because you have to know what you're talking about. You can't just come into this and say, oh, yeah, I know about this. No, bull. Right now, I'm finishing up. I'm taking a master's course. I already got my bachelor's, taking a master's course in zoology, because you have to know what the animals are, the ones that are known to science, before you can talk about something that's not known. Like I was talking to Gary and Nate, people will say, oh, yeah, that was a Dogman. Well, actually, no, it wasn't actually a Dogman, because if you look at the footprint was a brown bear. And then if you measure the depth of the footprint and the width of it and everything, you'll see that it was like a 1,200-pound brown bear. I mean, there's a lot to do with an investigation. You got to do measurements. You got to do math. Some people don't like that part, of an investigation. But getting back, I started getting more and more heavily into cryptozoology and all the different cryptids, like the Loch Ness Monster, for instance. Canada has their lake monsters up there. Fortunately for me, I was able to actually hit the 4 corners of the country, go over the borders, and look for cryptids. I have a lot of friends of mine. Well, Gary, you probably have friends of yours from the military, and through the paramilitary, I have friends, and they're located throughout the country. And they know that cryptozoology is a passion of mine. And I got to go out to Washington State. I got to go out to Oregon, Wyoming, down into El Paso, Texas, where a buddy of mine lives, and he heard about a chupacabra. We went over the border into Mexico. Thank God I traveled with a passport at the time. I've been in Canada. My cousin my female cousin is married to an Algonquin Indian, First Nations people, guys. And I was able to go up there searching for Wendigo. Now, a Wendigo to them in Canada is different than a Wendigo down here in the United States.
Yes.
A whole different animal. We're talking about Sasquatch-sized animal. That's what they call a Wendigo. And this thing is fast and it is strong. And no American Indians would ever talk to me about Wendigo or skinwalkers because they have this thing that if you talk about them, it's going to show up and it's very bad luck. And besides, I'm white. They don't want to talk to me about it at all. Up in Canada, because he was like my cousin-in-law, because my cousin married him, this gentleman actually talked to me about it for hours on end. And it's a good thing I like coffee, and so does he. I brought really good New Jersey coffee up there. Actually, it was Black Rifle coffee. I don't know if any of you guys ever had that stuff, but it's really good. And hours and hours on end, we would speak about the Wendigo. And by the way, they call Bigfoot, we call him Bigfoot in the United States, they call him Sasquatch in Canada. Yeah. But there's a difference between the Wendigo and the Sasquatch, they feel. They feel that the Wendigo is more violent.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, I got to go over the border. I never found one, never saw it. We did see the little Sasquatch teepees. Little, yeah, right. About 15 feet in diameter. We saw a lot of that. We did hear wood knocks. And I heard some howls up there that I've never heard in my life. And I'm a big visitor of zoos. I visited the National Zoo in Washington. I've visited the Space Farm Zoo in New Jersey, for instance. All the big zoos, because I would like to hear what these animals sound like. And because I'm taking a zoology course now, the master's course, I already have my bachelor's, I try to listen to how they sound and everything, because you want to be able to differentiate the sound of an animal, a real live animal that science says exists, versus a cryptid, which a lot of people say, oh, don't exist. We're full of it. We're full of it. Then why from 1975 to 2005 were there 3,000 reports in northwestern United States about Sasquatch? Why? Why were there 3,000 reports in all that time? Why were there 650 reports in Canada at the same time? Are all these people lying, guys?
Nope.
Now,
no, not at all.
You know, Nate, you've seen my site on the North American Dogman Project Region 3, right? Have you seen it recently? People are ragging about, oh yeah, Dogman doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's just amazing that they're saying this. It's like, all right, well, that's your opinion. Well, I've got news for you. I'm here today in front of you three gentlemen to tell you, yes, Dogman does exist, because I actually saw it with my own two eyes one night. I mean, I'll get into that story when Gary wants me to, but I'm just giving you some background here. The stuff I've went through over the last 22 plus years doing cryptozoology. People will say, oh, this doesn't exist, that doesn't. Well, excuse me. The silverback gorilla, that they said did exist, and they finally found it in 2012. The Komodo dragon. Komodo dragon is huge. It's vicious. It exists, but it exists on only 4 islands in Indonesia. 4 islands, but they're real, and they are vicious looking. They said, oh, bull. Oh, here's a good one, the panda bear. 65 years the panda bear was reported to be, a cryptid. It doesn't exist. A gentleman who was a cryptozoologist went to find it with his model wife. She was a supermodel back in New York back in the 60s. He died trying to search and find one. She stayed an extra 2 weeks after he passed away and found a baby panda bear and took it back to New York. So, yeah, they do exist. They're just masters of hiding. Now, as far as Dogman and Sasquatch or Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it, I have a different level of thinking about those two. But for what I saw in the travels that I went on, like I said, the 4 corners of the United States, plus going up into Canada, over into Mexico, across the border, seeing a dead chupacabra, which was to me a hybrid between a wolf and a coyote. It was 42 inches long, no hair. It had a skin disease. That's why it looked blue. And the top ridge line had some hair left for some odd reason. I had to pay a total of $40 American, 20 just to see it, and then 20 to get the rancher. He owned a ranch right near the Rio de Janeiro, across the right across the border from the United States into Mexico. I paid him 20 bucks to see this chupacabra, which he had. And then I paid him another 20 because I asked him if I could cut it up, if I can cut it open, because I wanted to see inside. He wouldn't let me do it because he had this deal going on. He was going to sell it, but he did have a goat that this chupacabra killed, and I asked him if he would cut the goat open for me. He did. He said, no blood, no blood. Good thing my buddy who took me there from the paramilitary group that I was with, he speaks fluent Spanish, handed the guy another 20. He cut it open because he wanted to sell the skin on the goat and everything. He didn't trust me to do it. And see, no blood, right? Yeah, there was blood. I asked him to cut the arteries open. I pointed out different arteries. The arteries had red blood. They were gelled. You all know that when you die, your heart stops pumping blood. Even if you cut this artery right here on your neck, there's no more blood going to pump. What happens in an animal in that kind of heat and that kind of weather, when it's laying there for 3 or 4 days, there's no blood coming out. What this goat did have was 2 marks on the back of the neck where the chupacabra bit it. Now, a chupacabra, because they have this nasty skin disease that's like eczema on steroids, they're no longer able to hunt like they normally would be able to hunt. So that's the deal. That's why they go after things like goats and sheep and dogs, that are on a farm, because they're easier to catch, and chickens and the like. This goat, when he cut the arteries that I pointed out to him, there was no bleeding, no bleed out, no nothing. It was like a gel. It was like, you guys probably, Nate, you probably wouldn't eat cherry gelatin anymore, Jello anymore, but that's what it looked like. It looked like Jello.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was fortunate that I got to go down there. I was in Texas at the time, and I got to research Texas monsters, thunderbirds, for instance. And the Indians are not afraid of thunderbirds like we are, back then at the time, because they think that a thunderbird is good luck. Supposedly, the thunderous sound is heard from their wings, and anytime they're around, they think it's great luck. And unfortunately, a lot of people thought they were bad luck because of the fact that down in Texas, in this one farm area, this one little boy got picked up by a very large bird. It most likely was some kind of a vulture or a, oh Lord, I forgot the name of what it would have been. They told me what it was too. Anyway,
there.
It was what?
Do they have golden eagles down there, Nick?
No, not in that area. It was some sort of a buzzard, but it had a wingspan of about total of 7 to 8 feet wingspan. It picked this little kid up and took him about 3-4 feet off the ground before it couldn't carry him anymore, and then dropped him.
Yeah, I remember that case. That was back in the 80s. Wasn't it early 80s?
Yes, it was way back when.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I was out in Texas, I got to check all this good stuff out, and I've been in Washington State looking for Sasquatch. I have a buddy up there, and he said he'd trade me. I could be his backup for bear hunting, and he was going to be my backup, and he was going to take me into Sasquatch areas. He took me over. We didn't find anything in Washington. We went to Oregon, and then finally, when we went into Wyoming, we finally did hear some odd sounds, and we heard knocks, wood knocks. And one night when we were out there, what we saw was, and I'm going to get into this more later, and what do we have, about an hour and a half or 2 hours?
As long as you need, buddy.
Oh, okay. I'm going to get into it later. 367 case research that took me 6 months to do in reference to Dogman and Sasquatch Bigfoot sightings. In-depth research from newspapers, from books, from interviews with people, some face-to-face with people. And it got me a lot of information. It made me think outside the box where I could never think before. I was sort of looking at Dogman and Sasquatch in a little box here, and now I'm way expanded. And that's why nowadays I carry more equipment than I normally do, safety equipment for myself. And just in case no one heard me at the beginning, I want to say again, the NADP, North American Dogman Project, is a no-kill organization. However, everybody has a right to defend themselves. And like I tell my people, you go out there looking for Dogman, Dogman might find you first. Then what's your game plan? Also, maybe Dogman doesn't find you. Maybe a brown bear finds you. Maybe a 450-pound black bear finds you. Maybe a mountain lion finds you. Just like what was on the internet. I believe it was published a couple of months ago on the internet, where this jogger came face to face with a mountain lion. I mean, my God, this thing did not want to back down. Did not want to back down at all. And I don't know how he got it to run, but it finally did back up and run. I'm saying to myself, how does this guy get in videotape though? Maybe somebody else is there, you know, but finally that mountain lion ran. But what happens if you're out in a forest, you're by yourself? Oh yeah, I'm going to find Dogman, and a mountain lion comes over. What is your game plan? Are you carrying anything to defend yourself? When I go out with a team, I'm going to be very honest with you. In the places that we're allowed to, we're out there with 308 rifles, because a 308 will put down a bear. I'm using special ammo. It's 200 grain 308 ammo. And I carry right on my thigh a 10 millimeter Glock. Once again, 200 grain ammo. Now, I'm not saying I am not out there to kill anything. Absolutely not. But I'm going to defend myself if something comes at me. First thing I'm going to defend myself with, however, and two of them, is bear spray. It's bear pepper spray. The reason I tell everybody bear pepper spray is because as a conical shot, it'll shoot out 35, 36 feet in front of you, and it'll shoot out on a conical shot, not just like pepper spray that people would carry for self-defense, which is a stream. I also carry that, and there's a reason for carrying that. And Nate, please remind me in reference to a bear hunt, and actually a deer hunt where a bear came in a little bit. But I want to finish this point. You know, you're out there, you have a right to defend yourself, and there's things you should be carrying with you. And a lot of these things are legal. Wyoming was amazing because we got the, we saw the Sasquatch teepees. We got the wood knocks like crazy, and they were coming closer and closer. And mind you, there was only two of us out there. We were fully loaded up for defense. But this was absolutely amazing. And they never come when it's like sunny out. It's always about, well, I'd say 8, 9, 10 o'clock where you're hearing stuff. Now, what I usually wear, I wear a bump helmet. And it's not a bump helmet like something you get for paintball. It's the real thing. I also have a ballistic helmet. However, the ballistic helmet, it weighs 3 pounds. A bump helmet is 1.25 pounds. It'll still take a good whack on the head. And on the front of it, I carry a light. And the light that I purchase, you should never spare any expense when you're going out in the forest area or wilderness area. It's a 4,000 lumen light that's on the top of my helmet. I also carry several flashlights, never mind 1 or 2. The SEAL saying is 1 is none, 2 is 1. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I have 4 flashlights with me plus my headlamp. And we're out there, it's like 8:30, 8:45 at night, and these tree knocks are coming closer and closer and closer. And we're lighting up the area with our hand flashlights. I've got 2 of them, 1 in each hand. My partner had two of them. We're lighting it up. We're lighting it up. We saw a tree shake, and then that was it. And then the wood knock started going off. My partner, my buddy that was with me, he felt something inside his body. And I would like to get into that too. Gary, please remind me about two things: infrasound and mind speak, which you guys probably know about. I have to expand, like I said, myself out of the box and give kudos to the people in the Sasquatch community, Bigfoot community there, because they've been talking about this a long time. Dogman people don't talk about this, but there's such a thing. My buddy felt the resonance in his body, and he was like, Nick, we need to move, and we need to move back to the vehicles and get out of here now. And be honest with you, I didn't want to leave. I didn't really want to leave because I want to see what this was that was making these sounds. To me, a bear is not going to make that sound. Now, we're in Wyoming at the time. A bear is not going to make that sound. Now, here's something big. And like I said, there's so much I want to get into, and we'll get into this later in depth. What we saw was, after the sound stopped, we saw a light, a spherical light in the distance. And if I'm any judge, I'm a former sniper on the SWAT teams, and I can judge distance. And if I'm any judge by that, it was approximately a half a mile away. We saw a spherical light in the sky, and then it started to glow, and then poof, it left. I'm not talking about a light that's just hanging out there. I'm talking about a light that moved, and then poof, it glowed bright, and then it was gone. I'll get into this with the 367 case report that I did, that I just finished a couple of months ago, later on. But anyway, that was Western United States, Southern United States, up in Northern United States, Canada, down here in New Jersey. Because I live here, I went down to the Pine Barrens for 5 years straight. Never with less than 3 other guys beside myself, and we were fully jocked up. I'll use that term, and you guys know what I'm talking about. I see Gary nodding over there. Yep. Not going into that area, without some kind of protection. Anyway, it took all that time in order for me to find out, because we were searching for the Jersey Devil, which has been haunting that area since the 1800s. And I guess I'll get into the story right now, which we talked about before. On one of the last times that we were out there, I had a 7-man team, which included myself. We were out walking around for over 5 hours. I come upon this area, and it was 40 acres that this gentleman owned. And he saw us out there, and he walked up to us, and he asked us what we were doing. It's a good question. Good question. You see 7 guys dressed up in camo out in the woods over there in the Pine Barrens. I'd ask you what you're doing too. We told him we were looking for the Jersey Devil. I told him I've been out here for 5 years. He asked me a few questions about who I was, and I told him cryptozoology. I told him I was a 14 researcher. Most people don't know what the word 14 means, and I don't mean the number 14, F-O-R-T-E-A-N. That's anomalous, strange, paranormal, whatever you want to call it, research. I research anything that's strange and anomalous. Anyway, he didn't know what that meant, but I got it across to him what we were doing. And I says, I was looking for the Jersey Devil. I figured I didn't have anything to lose. He pointed to me and he goes, would you like to see something that looks like this Jersey Devil? And I said, yes, sir. He led all 4 of us to his barn. And in a freezer, he had, and I'm going to tell you what the Jersey Devil is. This is, like I said, I have a mantra to prove or disprove a cryptid, what these cryptids are. And he proved it to my satisfaction. And I'll tell you why in a little bit too. I saw with my own eyes, once again, a 3-foot, 10-inch horse bat. He showed us it was a dead one. And he asked me where he could sell it because he heard that circuses like Barnum and Bailey Circus and different places like that would, back in the old days anyway, they would show you strange looking creatures in their exhibits. He wanted to get something like $50,000 for this thing. Now, We were able to see it. He wouldn't let us touch it. He wouldn't let us photograph it. Oh, I'm sorry. He would let us photograph it for $1,000. And I wasn't about to pay him $1,000. I went back and I looked it up on the internet, and sure enough, a horse bat looks just like what the Jersey Devil has been reported to look like all these years. You can look it up on the internet, a horse bat. Now, Gary looked it up and he found the exact one, and it looks the exact same way. Now, I'm going to tell you why. People say, oh, horse bats, are they indigenous to New Jersey? Well, I don't know. But people have been known to have exotic pets. Okay? Down in South Jersey, they have this lady called the Tiger Lady. And I think she got a simple divorce by having her tigers eat her husband because it was big news. She had something like 22 tigers on her property. It was all heavily fenced in. How she got these tigers is beyond me. But she's got tigers in New Jersey. They're not in a zoo. New York City, back in the 70s, they had reports of snakes in apartment buildings coming up through the toilet seats. And it was true. It was very true, because being former law enforcement and being into cryptozoology, I was very, very interested in that. Being on a SWAT team, I was able to, when we had training with the New York SWAT teams, I was able to like make friends with a couple of guys, and I asked them about it, and they looked it up. And it's true. They have reports where there's snakes coming out of people's toilets. It's because some guy either let the snakes escape or he flushed them down his toilet because he didn't want to have them anymore. Look at Great Britain, Black Panthers in Great Britain. Now, why would there be Black Panthers roaming in Great Britain? Somebody had an exotic pet and decided it was too much for them. You know, they let it go. Same here. Who's to say somebody didn't bring home some different bat species and let it fly? Who knows? You know, but that's how things go. People tell me, oh, no, you'll never see a mountain lion in New Jersey. Well, you never know. Mountain lions travel, don't they? All animals travel. Who's to say that they got to stay in you know, southwestern United States?
That's crap.
They definitely travel, right? Right, Jeremiah? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What's that?
We've got them right. We've got tons of them in the Adirondacks, and people just don't get that. You know, I've seen them with my own eyes. We've got them here. So, and yeah. I know you must have in New Jersey as well.
You know, it's funny you bring that up, Nick. Just today, Steve Isdall released a new video, and he talked about a wolf that was collared that they tracked from northern British Columbia all the way to Oregon and back.
Oh. Yeah. And it went back up to British Columbia?
Yes.
There have been reports, Nate, of people that moved 1,000 miles north and they forgot their cat, or they couldn't find their cat the day they were moving. 4 months later, that cat shows up on their doorstep. I've seen reports where on Facebook people put up the show. Oh, here's my dog. This dog was lost 450 miles away from the home, and somehow a couple months later the dog shows up on their doorstep. It's their dog, and they're all happy that they got Fido back. Yeah. Something I want to say here in reference to cryptids, because people can say, oh no, you're all full of it, you're all delusional, there's no such thing as that. No, never say never, but I want to ask them something. I'll get religious for a minute. I'm Roman Catholic, okay? I believe in God. I believe that there's a higher authority out there that created us. Have I ever seen God? No, but I believe something else. In physics, they have a thing called the string theory. These are stringy things that are smaller than an atom, and they've proven them to exist, but yet they can't see them. Oh, speaking of atoms and electrons and neutrons, have you ever seen one? No, but they've proven them to exist. You know, we have the word of scientists that say, yes, they exist. You know, we cracked an atom. We made the atom bomb. Okay, but they, according to them, they exist, and we believe them. Well, like I said, 3,000 people in that certain time frame that I mentioned, from 1975 all the way up to 2005, 3,000 reports in the northwestern United States, and that's Washington, Oregon, you know, Wyoming, and out there, there's reports of this. What is up with that, guys? Seriously. Or all these people want their 2 minutes of fame? I doubt it.
The other thing, Nick, is you mentioned all those thousands of reports that we know of. I would argue that there's just as many or more that have not come forward that we don't know about.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. When I was doing the 365 research project that I had there, I would get in contact with people and they said, as long as you don't tell anybody my name, as long as you don't tell them where I live, I'll tell you, because people would think I'm crazy. Now, I've got some stuff. I know Gary wants to get into the Dogman stuff. I've got some stuff in reference to Dogman where this exact same thing happens, where they'll talk to me because I'm me and they know my background in law enforcement and everything, and they know my interest, but they do not want their name out there. So much so that, you know, one lady told me, yeah, this is what happened. She showed me the pictures on her phone, and she told me direct, right to my face, because she's a former politician. She says, I will sue you for everything you got if my name ever gets, you know, put up with this. She goes, you could tell them the town, no problem. Don't you dare give them my name, because she's connected in the politics of the area, and she would lose her job. I'll get into that one. I'll tell you guys all about that, you know, in a little bit. But Gary, where would you like me to start here with this? Oh, there he is.
Gary, you there?
Yeah, yep, I got Gary. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you now. Sorry.
There you are.
I had it muted because I was typing. This is Jeremiah's show. I'm just excited about hearing
Our show.
I'm sorry, there he is.
Our show. I've had to reiterate that 20 times with these two. Anyway, you know, just we're all itching to learn more about it, Nick. Basically, you know, it's new to us. Just dying to know how you got into it, dying to know the experiences you have, what are they, where are they? Yeah.
I guess what you're asking is, how did I get into it with Dogman? For many, many, many years in cryptozoology, all I did was read books, everything I get my hand on. Like I said, I took 2 diploma courses because I want to know about it. I've investigated other cryptids until one day, it was September 13th on 2013. I had just, with this unit that I had worked for, I had just finished training. It was over 16 hours. I was on my way home from Newark, New Jersey, Route 22 west. Instead of going all the way up 22 and then cutting over, it would have put about 10 miles out of my way. It's faster, you know, you're going faster, but I wanted to get home really bad. So I decided to cut over the mountain. The mountain, the name of the area that I was going to cut through is called Watchung Reservation. This is in Mountainside, New Jersey. Watchung Reservation. Lenape Indians used to inhabit that area. It's a place today where people can go to barbecue. They can have your kids play on the swings. It's a big, big park area at the top of a mountain. But by going over the mountain, I was able to cut about 12 minutes to 15 minutes off my travel time to get home, because I wanted to get home. We had been doing some heavy duty training, fast roping out of helicopters, and I was just hungry. I wanted to get home, go to sleep, rest up for the next day. I'm going up off of Route 22 up into the Watchung's area. I'm driving a Jeep Wrangler. I've got KC highlighters on there, so I'm lighting up the area because there's no lights. I'm going past houses. It's in a heavily wooded area. Finally hit the top. There's a circle I have to go around to get into the Watchung Reservation area. As I hit the Watchung Reservation area, there's a big oval in the center of the top of the mountain. Now, I've got my KC highlighters on. I've got my high beams on, everything on. I see straight ahead of me a stop sign that has, I guess it was, they had the shiny stuff on it, so it was reflective, very reflective stop sign. And On the bottom of the stop sign was a bicycle, and right next to it was an extremely large black animal. That kind of got me concerned because now, mind you, it's 11:32 at night. I marked this down after this whole thing was over. It's dark up there. I'm looking at this thing from 100 feet away, and I'm lighting it up, and I think I see a bear, and it's chewing on something. Its hand went from here to here and then down, and I see a bicycle, and I'm thinking I got to get over there because there's a bicycle. That could be a human that this bear is eating. As I get closer, I stopped approximately, and I'm going to give you approximations because I did go back the next day with a team of guys. I stopped approximately 30 feet away, and what I'm looking at is nothing like a bear. I know what a bear looks like. We have black bear in New Jersey. Black bear are not this big. This thing was up to the stop sign post, which I measured the very next day, 7 foot 7 inches. I measured it the next day according to my eye. Totally black. It was chewing on something. I got out of my Jeep. I put it in park. I'm 30 feet away. I had I'm right-handed. My left hand had my bear spray. My right hand had my 10mm Glock, and there was always one in a pipe. So I had 16 shots just in case I have to defend myself. This was not a bear. I did not know what a Dogman was in 2013. I'm telling you right now, guys, I have seen what people now call a Dogman. A variant, canine variant 1 is what this Dogman looked like to me. I found this out years later after searching the internet to see what it looked like. I got out, I'm right near my door, 30 feet away, and I got it lit up, with every light in my Jeep. This thing didn't even look at me. It picked its right paw up, put it to its mouth, took another bite, and what it was biting was a deer. It was a small buck because it had horns. Wow. Put its hand down, chewed a little bit, and I got this. I didn't get a voice in my head. I didn't get a feeling. I didn't get any infrasound. I got no mind speak. All I got was a sense that this thing couldn't give a damn that I was standing there, like I was insignificant. If it made one move, I'm sorry, Jeremiah.
Yeah, I'm sorry for cutting you off, but did it give off?
Oh wait, don't say it because I'm going to tell you. I know where you're going to go.
Okay.
Nobody says this. I've heard people talk about it. Oh, I've seen a Dogman. Nobody tells this one next thing. There was an odor. Now, I've been deer hunting with friends at least 60 times, and I know what a dead deer smells like. As a cop, I have had to put deer out of their misery. No, sir. It wasn't a deer blood smell, and it wasn't deer blood poop either. This was like a urine mixed with a blood type smell that was nasty. It was like came from a sewer. It was really nasty. But this thing didn't even look at me, didn't pay attention, didn't give a damn that I was standing there. I would have blasted it with the pepper spray, and then I would have reverse Mozambiqued it with the 10 milli. But it didn't care. It just walked off into the forest area. Now,
well, I was kind of going to ask if you, we just heard this from somebody, who did we hear it from a couple weeks ago, Gary? I forget, but anyway, we were talking about a Dogman encounter someone had, and it was kind of, when they first saw it, was leaning up against the tree, one-handed, and kind of giving off an arrogant type, yeah, I see you, and I don't care.
Yes.
And I hear that a lot with reports I get about these things up here.
It could not give a damn that I was standing there.
No. That that you was talking about, Jeremiah, was David.
Or maybe David or Jason.
David.
Was it David?
David.
Okay.
Now, mind you, Jeremiah, I'm the guy that my mantra is to prove or disprove. I disproved to my satisfaction Chupacabra, Jersey Devil, and something I didn't mention before when I was in West Virginia, Point Pleasant, West Virginia, to my satisfaction, what the Mothman is. But I may have to rethink him a little bit too. However, this thing here, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a werewolf, and not like any werewolf I've ever heard of. Werewolves that I've ever heard of were man size. Supposedly a man turns into one, and maybe he's a bit huskier, but growing to 7'7" no, that don't happen. This thing just didn't look at me, didn't care, nonchalantly walked into the woods. I'm standing there looking left, right, up. I'm looking up because that's where people don't look, is up. You never know. This thing could have climbed up into a tree or something and then jumped. But I'm looking all over the place. And then I decide, well, maybe it's better that I go back in the car. As I'm walking back into the car, I noticed through my windshield, approximately 150 feet away, a white orb of light. And then the light just takes off. Now, like I said, I'd like to get into this later. It's in reference to the 367 cases that I've researched about Dogman and Sasquatch Bigfoot. And that was my encounter. Now, like I said, my mantra, prove or disprove. I saw this one. So I am telling you today, and people that disbelieve, well, then you better go disbelieve the string theory and that atoms exist and other things exist too, because there are dogmen out there. And if there are dogmen, there are probably Bigfoot out there too. You know?
Along with many other things.
Oh, yeah. Many, many other things. Now, just to finish up my story here with my encounter, which was 2013, September 13th, I came back the next day and I called my guys and I said, jock up, we're going here. I saw something. We need to find it. We went back. We did a row. We went in. I didn't find anything. And we went straight through all the way to, there's a river there that is at the top of the mountain, and there's a waterfall. We went through there. We went down. We went every place we could possibly go. I didn't find it. Now, for the next 7 years, I never reported this because I don't want people going there possibly getting themselves killed. Oh, I'm going to find a dog man. I didn't know what it was at the time. I didn't know the NADP existed. I didn't know they existed until about 4.5, 5 years ago. And finally, I saw some good stuff on there, and I joined and subsequently became the director of the Region 3. I measured up against that stop sign post where I thought its head came, and it was 7'7". I estimate the body weight to be close to 500 pounds. This thing was extremely dark hair, not long shaggy hair either. I'd say about 2-inch hair. I saw the claws because it was holding part of that deer. And by the way, that deer carcass, part of it was still there. So this wasn't something I imagined because I did 16 hours of training and I was sort of hallucinating. No, the bicycle was still chained to that stop sign post. Everything was still there. The only thing that wasn't there was the dog man. And like I said, years later, I started searching the internet, and years later, I found out that there's such a thing that other people have reported out there. Now people say, oh, well, there's not a lot of, dogman sightings in New Jersey. Well, I hate to say this, but in Wharton State Park down in South Jersey, a forest ranger saw a dogman back in the late 70s. One of my members, my first member, Kelly, she reported to me twice a dogman sighting in South Jersey. And that's all the way down there near the Pine Barren area. Something that happened here in 2019, February, my neighbor who lives 900 feet away from me. Now, mind you, there's townhouses where I live and there's houses. Her backyard butts up against a state forest. She takes her little tiny 3-pound dog out every morning at 6 o'clock. Now, I want to preface this with saying that she's from Colorado. She grew up on a ranch. Her father taught her how to shoot a rifle and a gun. She's one of them girls that goes out there and hunts, and she can skin or kill. and she could serve it up to you too. 5'8", pretty well built girl. She's not really afraid of much, but what she did was she went to law school and she got into the politics here in the state of New Jersey. I'm not allowed to give her name. I call her Mary when I wrote it up. I wrote it up for the NADP, for the site that I run. She called me because she knows I'm a former police officer. We became friends. I do my daily walks past her house, and we became friends and neighbors. 900 feet away from me in her backyard, 6 o'clock in the morning one morning, she's taking her dog out. Her dog ran out ahead of her to go pee or poop or whatever it does, and comes running back at her, past her, and goes right up to the back door. She hears a deep, not a throaty, a chesty type growl. She doesn't panic. She puts her phone up with the flash. She knows that if you flash something, maybe you could scare it. She shot off 2 flashes. She didn't know that she actually took 2 pictures with her camera flash on. She got 2 pictures of a Dogman from here up, right near a tree in her backyard, approximately 100 feet all the way to the back of her property. Her little dog just left her and said, I've had enough of this. Went in. She heard that chesty growl. She flashed it and she was running. She got in her house. She locked her back door, took out her shotgun. 10 minutes later, she's calling me on the phone. And about 5 minutes later, I am there. I just threw the clothes on and I went down there. She told me about it. She showed me her phone. I wish I would have had her do it right then and there. I told her, I said, look, don't erase this. I'm going to want you to send this to me. She wasn't thinking at the time because she was in a panic. She was in a panic so much that she had her sister and her brother come down from northern New Jersey and stay with her. She put her house up for sale and she moved out. She did not stay there that night. She stayed at a hotel. This lady was connected with the county political machine. I'm not allowed to say what part, but that was her job. Now, if she told me, she goes, my name gets out there, or if my job is threatened because this gets out there, this story, she goes, I'll lose my job and I'll lose all credibility. Now, Nate, you said this yourself. There's been, like I gave you the time frame, 75 to 2005, about the 3,000 reports of Sasquatch in northwestern United States. Well, yeah, maybe there's 3 or 4 times the many sightings or encounters, but people don't want to report it because people are going to think they're crazy. Absolutely crazy. And she did not want to lose her job. But she did make up her mind that she was moving. She has family down, I won't say this state, but down south, way south on the eastern border. She wound up moving there. She would not come in contact with me again. Her brother told me, don't try to make contact. Her brother said that that's it. She's had it. She's over with it. She moved. Her house was up for sale. She sold it for a good price in like 5 days. She was out of there. She was gone. Next thing I knew, there was an Allied Vans moving company over there taking her stuff out. She never came back.
Man.
Why would this girl who was brought up in Colorado hunting and all that, why would she be so scared if it wasn't something real?
Terrifying. Yeah. It
She
affected your core.
Nate, she was terrified to bits. I tried contacting her brother, and he says she's doing okay, but he says she's not the same anymore.
Man.
He sold a $400,000+ house and got out of here.
I could see why. I mean, I've never seen a Dogman, but seeing a Sasquatch was hard enough for me to deal with. You know, you guys that have seen the Dogman, I mean, to me, that just eats you at your core.
It's really amazing. To me, I was fascinated by looking at this thing. I thought it was a bear, and oh my God. I mean, I've seen Goliath, the largest bear in captivity. He's in Space Farm Zoo. He's now dead, but he was alive for like 24 years in Space Farm Zoo. He was over 12 feet tall. I've seen Goliath in person before he died. They showed on the internet a an 11-foot 6-inch polar bear. I mean, these things are massive. So, I mean, Gary, you said you had a Sasquatch encounter?
Yeah.
Okay, well, how big was yours?
About
Sasquatch,
9 feet
that is.
tall, shoulders over 5 feet wide, and
That must be 12 feet tall then.
he's about 9.5. We was actually able to measure him over the top of our truck, over the top of the truck.
Well, Jeremiah and Nate, and you too, Gary, have you guys ever been to an NBA basketball tournament or to see teams play, the pros?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, these guys, you're standing next to this guy. He's 7 foot 6 inches, and you're looking, you're going, holy crow. Yeah. Well, why is it so odd that a Dogman might be like the one I saw, 7'7"? Yeah. When I went to an NBA game and I saw this guy, he was 7'6". Yeah. Why is it so odd to think that there could be a Sasquatch that's 10, 11, 12 feet tall when we've got bear out there that are, 10 feet tall? Yeah,
I don't think it's unrealistic at all. I mean, we live with a family group on our property, and we've got a 10.5 footer that my wife had an encounter with. But I've heard of them. I had a buddy who did research up in Manitoba for us, northern Manitoba, and he was describing one as he's passed away now, but a Native American gentleman, and there was one they were they had their eyeballs on that they were guesstimating him at about 12 feet. This Sasquatch. That's the biggest I've ever heard of. But I know what you're saying. That basketball player type physique. I've seen that. We've seen that. I've had a couple of Sasquatch encounters as well. The one I saw, my horror encounter was with a female. She scared me pretty good, but she was built a lot like Gary's, only in a female version. But we've had other people witness, some out of the group on our land with that lean build, like we were just describing. So I know what you're saying.
It's not something you really want to come upon, and
right.
I've searched that area with the team. The Watchung Reservation area, like I said, Lenape Indians were there, and many, many, many moons ago, and we didn't find anything. I really wanted to find some more evidence. I was looking for claw marks on trees, and I know the difference between a bear claw mark and a Dogman claw mark, what they would be like, and I found nothing of the sort. And that orb that we saw, that I saw rather, that is going to come into play when we discuss this later on. In reference to the research that I've done with that, people that just want to go out there and find these things, I sometimes just feel like, geez, what's wrong with you? Just sit back and read it. If you're not ready to go out there, if you're not equipped to go out there, and you don't have a game plan, if you do find it, or something else finds you, then what are you going to do? I've had one guy in Ohio, he went out there looking in the forest area where Ohio touches, Tennessee, I believe. And I said,
LBL.
Yeah, close to that area. I said to him, by the way, did you have a first aid kit with you? He goes, no, but I have this 2-quart container of water, and he had matches, waterproof matches, and he had this little knife, and and he had a walking stick, and that was it. I'm like, seriously? I don't go out unless I have two bear sprays on my vest, and one, show and tell time, guys, one small pepper spray stream. If you don't mind, let me get into why I carry this now. I had this with me when a buddy of mine and we were out. I was out with him during deer hunting season in New Jersey. And we're in this area. He's got the license. We're up a tree approximately 15 feet. He had these little things that you put into the tree so you can climb up. And then what we did was we built a platform up there. So we're sitting up there, and it's about 9 o'clock in the morning, and he decides to whip out his, I don't want to give the name of the company, but it's one of them fast food joints, and he's got two of them. This muffin with sausage and cheese and eggs, and I'm telling you, you could smell it. So he eats the one, and he's starting on the second one, and we see something moving, and he goes, oh, I got a deer. We see something moving in the brush, and damn if it ain't a black bear. The black bear does a beeline right for our tree. It starts climbing the damn tree. Now, mind you, black bear can climb a tree. Brown bear and grizzlies generally don't climb a tree because they could shake the tree. And they could shake you out of the tree. But they're not in New Jersey, a brown bear, thank God. Well, they could be, but I haven't ever seen one or heard of one. Anyway, this bear is like 10 feet off the ground. He's going, what do I do? Should I shoot him with the arrow? And I go, Eddie, I don't think that's going to work. And then I realized that I have this on me. I said, let me try something. I popped this out, and I squirted right in the snout. This thing dropped 10 feet. Bam! Right to the ground and took off. Didn't even get hurt. This thing looked to be about 400 pounds. He was a very well-fed bear. But to this day, I will carry the bear spray, which is a conical spray, and I will also carry this. Because if it comes to shove and you're close, I'm going to squirt you. I'm going to be everything is going to be coming out. Everything under the sun is going to be coming out to protect me. Because you have a right to self-defense. You have a right to go out in the forest, and you have a right to go home. Actually, you should go home. You want to make it home. You know, whether something finds you or not, you want to make it home. Oh, boys. Any other questions there, Jeremiah? I got off on a tangent there.
No, you're good. Let me. One thing I wanted to ask you is, you know, like I said, we're just starting to get into this whole thing, you know, the whole Dogman thing, and I'm really finding it interesting. And when I do take, you know, I'm the only crazy, you know, we live in the middle of nowhere, small town, you know, and I'm really the only crazy cryptid guy around. So, you know, when something happens with somebody, I'll get, you know, they'll talk to someone, and that person will refer them to me, and I'll get the phone call. So anyway, so I will get Dogman reports every now and then. Seem to be getting reports of two that look a little bit different. Now, one I noticed, the description of one that I'm getting was actually the last one I got was these two girls, one of them being a part of a environmental agency, if you would.
Yeah, Environmental Protection Agency, yeah.
Okay. And the other, a good girl that I've known since childhood, good family. You know, just two girls that just aren't going to make this up, you know, and the brother of one of them called me and said, you know, Jeremiah, they really want to talk to you, but they're scared and they're nervous. I said, listen, they've known me for years. Have them call me. Well, I said, have them call me one at a time. So they called one at a time, and, you know, they gave me a pretty good description. You know, like I was saying earlier, you know, they're coming down the road. The one riding the passenger seat said, hey, slow down. You're going to hit that guy on the side of the road. At this point, they're quite a ways away yet. And as they get closer, she starts to slow the vehicle down, and they can see this thing. And it's kind of just leaning against the tree with a real arrogant, smug look. You know, and she said that's the only way she can put it. It looked real confident and arrogant, kind of giving off the attitude like, What are you looking at? Well, they got to the point where it was just shock, and she stopped the car completely. And at that point, this thing hopped out into the middle of the road where the lines are. It turned, gave them a full body shot, showed them its whole frontal view. Now they described it. They gave me a great description. Their descriptions are identical. They range this thing at about 7.5 feet, anywhere from 450 to 475, 500, whatever. Built like a lean, or not lean, but like a basketball type player build. You know.
Did you talk to them separately or together?
I talked to them separately.
Good, perfect.
And that basketball player type build. They described it as having here's the thing that we're getting. Here's the main thing that's different about the two different reports we're getting. This one had legs more like ours and more that would look like a Sasquatch's,
right?
And feet as well, like ours, as opposed to the other reports we're getting, where your people are seeing the backwards legs like a dog and paws on the feet for feet.
Right.
Now they were so close to this thing, and they described the head, as a German Shepherd Grey Wolf cross. They said that's the only way they can describe it. They were so close to it, they could see blood, and there was no. It had the mangled hair. It had just come out of the swamp on one side of the road. It was covered in blood. You could see the blood around its mouth. So I'm guessing it had just made a kill, and maybe had a snack.
Did she describe the teeth?
She did describe the teeth. Long. She did describe canines, long canines.
Ah, okay. Now the one I saw was a canine variant 1.
Okay.
And that is like a German Shepherd type snout and face, German Shepherd wolf type, very big head. Now a canine variant 3 is different in the fact that muscular body, similar head, but fangs that reach down about 3 inches on either side.
Yeah, she said these are extremely long.
Yeah, so that's, and this is up where you live?
Yeah. Yeah, Adirondacks. Yep.
Oh, you have a variant 3.
Yep. She they said it was unbelievable. You could see they were so close. You could see the saliva and the rest of the blood all over its mouth, and the saliva, the drool coming out of its mouth.
The most dangerous of all the variants is the 3. Wow.
Is it really?
Not that they're all not dangerous, but variant 3, the most dangerous. The most aggressive. Right.
Well, she said the one that works for the agency had her service weapon on her. She had a 40 caliber Glock, and she's Jeremiah. At one point, I thought about getting out of the car and giving it a pop, and I said, "You're probably lucky you didn't try." So they went, and this girl is 100% Mohawk. The one that works for the agency. They went right to her grandmother's house on the reservation after. This happened on a road called Route 95 in Bombay, New York, where we get a lot of Sasquatch activity and a lot of Dogman. We've interviewed actually 3 people that have stuff going on that same road. Hey, Gary, Dave, John, and Dougie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very active area. It's only 7 miles from my place.
Yeah.
Anyway, they went right to their grandmother, who's an elder in the tribe, and she's in her 90s, and she said, she goes, "You're lucky you didn't get out of the vehicle. You're lucky to be alive anyway," because she said, a car pulled up, started coming down the road from behind them, and the lights, it must have noticed that there's another car coming.
Right.
So it turned and it hopped into the swamp on the other side of the road and took off. She said, the girls, why else would this thing, you know, and this is an old Native American woman talking, which, you know, I usually tend to hold pretty credible, you know. She said, girls, why else do you think this thing would turn and give you a full frontal view of itself and let you get so close to it? You
Just
know?
like a kidnapper, when he takes that mask off, you better start saying, oh shit, because they're not going to let me go. He let me see you. Now he's going to eat you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
They did have a newborn, and they had a newborn baby with. They're a couple, these girls, and they had adopted a baby a couple months prior.
Right there in the car, they had the baby with them. Oh man.
Yes.
You would have had another LBL all over again.
Absolutely. I think so too.
Who did she work for? Because I'm trying to get an idea of what her ammo was going to be like. Fish and game?
It's, yeah, I'll give you, you know, I don't care anymore. It's New York State Department of Environmental Conservation.
Okay, here you go. She probably had a 40 caliber Glock.
She did.
And they didn't have hard-nosed bullets. She probably had hollow points.
You think so?
Yes, I do. They went to hollow points when they went to the Glocks. Now, I'm going to need Nate to back me up on this if he would. You're shooting a bear. You're shooting, say, if you're going to defend yourself against a Dogman, you're talking about 450, 500 pounds of muscle. Yay thick. You're shooting a bear with 6 inches of fat and then another, 5, 6 inches of muscle behind that. You don't want a hollow point because a hollow point is going to stop.
Yep. Right.
You want a hard-nosed bullet because you want penetration. Once again, NADP is a no-kill organization. I'm not saying to go out there and hunt them, but I'm saying for self-defense, you want hard-nosed bullets. You do not want hollow points. Now, a 40 caliber it's a baby 10 millimeter. Actually, it's not as fast as a 9, and it doesn't hit as hard as a 10. That's the reason why I prefer a 10, because like a 44 Magnum is another thing, but you've only got 6 shots. And unless you're a distinguished expert, you're going to have a little problem. I want 16 shots with instant reload, if my life is on the line. But I'm also going to be putting that bear spray. She is lucky. You're right. Her grandmother told her the right thing. Besides, hey, Gary, let me ask you, did you guys ever have to do parachute training in Benning, Fort Benning?
I spent 4 years at Benning.
Okay, did you do parachute training?
Airfield, huh?
Parachute training?
Yeah, I'm airborne.
Okay. Now, what do the guys invariably say? Why would I want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane, right?
Yep.
Now, I've had 70 some odd jumps myself, and sometimes I ask myself that question, but it's a lot of fun. But what I'm trying to get at is this. Why would she want to get out of a perfectly good car where she can put it in drive and hit that accelerator and go if this thing is going to attack her?
Yeah.
She shouldn't have been that curious. Now, mind you,
I don't think it was so much curiosity. I think it was maybe the mother protection instinct in her.
Yeah.
With the baby still. And if that was the case, they should have gotten the hell out of there, in my opinion.
Right, exactly. Now, the reason I stopped that night on September 13th, 2013, was because I thought a human being was being ripped apart by a bear. Yeah. And I stopped to try to help somebody else out. I didn't stop because I was curious. When I saw that thing in my lights, I thought it was a bear, but no, it wasn't a bear. I mean, it's just simply something amazing to look at. And like we talked about, different cryptids that are nowadays not cryptids, one of these days we're going to find them. And I don't know if that's such a good thing, or a bad thing. Hey, you mind if we switch up gears? I want to get onto some equipment, defensive equipment.
Absolutely.
And it's not firearms. It's not firearms.
Sure.
Okay. When I generally go out into the field, I've got a vest, and I've got stuff on that vest that we won't talk about. But when I go out there, I believe in hitting whatever the animal is or cryptid in their senses: the nose, eyes, ears. Now, bear spray is one thing, and I think everybody that goes out into that forest should carry 1 or 2 cans of bear spray. Every individual. If you're going out with your wife, the 2 of you should have 4 cans, and you should practice with it. Take it out, pin, pull. I mean, if you don't know how to use it, what's the sense, right? Now, bear spray is one thing that I say people should be going out there with. I also think that they should carry a single one, a small one. This is a stream sprayer. Now, you guys might want to cover your ears, but I usually carry 1 of 2 whistles. These are hypersonic whistles, 136 to 146 decibels. I've tried this in an area where I've seen wolves. I've tried this in an area where I saw black bear. I've tried this with dogs. I have a pesky dog on my walk route. I've got a 3-mile walk route, and this dog keeps trying to, I don't know, he tried to get aggressive with me and keeps coming at me. It's a Doberman, and I'm not too happy with him. So, guys, I'm going to give you a little, here's what they look like. All right, and hopefully it won't hurt your ears too much. Ready? That's one. That's another. Now, I have everybody on my team carry 1 or 2 of these whistles, because heck, even if you get lost, at least you could signal somebody to come for you. You blow a long enough thing on that whistle, and that's going to annoy the bear, the mountain lion, the coyote, the dogman, or the Sasquatch. Probably going to piss them off, 1 or 2 things. So they're going to either come at you or they're going to leave. Something else I carry with me is a 4,000 lumen flashlight. I think you've all heard about the flashlights that have, I don't have it down here, the battery, I let it run out, unfortunately, but they've got the flashing effect of the battery when you turn the light on. All right, well, this goes slow, but as you can see, they've got one that repeat really fast. Now, that'll disorient, and at 4,000 lumens, you can either hit it in the eyes or you can let it flash at it, and that'll disorient whatever the animal or cryptid is. Something else, and I'm going to turn my light off over here so you can see behind me. Now, anybody can buy this. This is a green laser. Now, look behind me. I don't know if you can see what I'm flashing there. Gary, are you able to see this? Or Nate?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, now, I don't want to flash it at you because this is a green laser. You shoot this thing at an animal, and you've got something like 1,000 green laser dots coming at you. Now, this thing will really project. I'm downstairs in my my basement area, and I'm projecting about 15 feet away, and it's super bright. Something else I carry out there. Now, the next one, hopefully I get this right to shut it off. I call these electronic flashbangs.
Oh, wow.
I carry 5 of them. 2 different types. I carry these types. They're on my left thigh. On my right thigh, I have something else to protect me with. But my left thigh, I've got these 2 and pop them out. And I'll give you an idea of what they do. I'll get them, press them.
I got to get me some of them.
I'll get these suckers and I'll toss them at whatever's coming at me. Believe me, a mountain lion is not going to like to play with this. But were you able to hear that high-pitched sound?
Yeah.
All right. That is going to irritate the hell out of them. So I'm going to try to hit them with that. So between hitting him with pepper spray, hitting the whistle, throwing this out there, I mean, the lights blinking and flashing like that's going to disorient. I'm hoping that this is going to give me enough time to bring something else to bear just in case. And let me turn the light back on. I mean, those are just a few of the things that I carry with me. And like I was telling you guys before we went on the air, I'm trying to think outside the box these days. And I don't know, we'll get into this too a little bit later, but I don't know what's out there and I don't know what it is. If it's paranormal or not paranormal, if it's UFO, if it's not related. I carry white salt, I carry black salt, I carry holy water. Heck, I carry a blessed cross, for crying out loud. You never know if I have to toss this at something. I mean, even regular salt, white salt, I carry in a Ziploc bag, put my hand in it, throw it at somebody's face. It's going to get in the eyes of whatever it is, the animal, if it's a last-ditch attempt for me. But I go out there, I want to go home. I want to be able to make it home. And I sure as hell am going to. But these are a few of the things that I carry with me just in case. I mean, there are other things too, but we won't go there. Like I said, an ADP is no kill, but you do have a right to self-defense. Sorry about that. Jeremiah, you okay?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
Oh, all right. I saw your picture go off over there before. I didn't know what happened.
Knowing Jeremiah, he's probably smoking a cigarette.
I was hoping this hypersonic thing didn't hit your ears too much.
I got to get some of those too. I'm with Gary. I want a couple of those.
Oh, I'll have all kinds of fun.
I've got ones that are bigger than these, and they're remote control activated. I've got 3 of them. They're this big. They're globes. You toss the globes out, they land, and you can like activate them with a button, and they don't stop. They just keep flashing and they keep going out. The decibel range is extremely high and it's extremely irritating. Now, I tossed this one. I only had one with me. I tossed it at the Doberman. And, I mean, the guy should keep his dog in the yard, for crying out loud. I mean, this thing is huge. I tossed it at that Doberman, and he just took off. And these days, I walk with this whistle, the red whistle here. And I'm going to tell you, my ears right now, because I blew it, and I didn't put on my ear protectors, I'm not hearing too well. So if I'm talking too loud, Gary, you let me know.
No, you're fine. You're doing good.
Oh, gosh. But, yeah, there's a bunch of things. I mean, I even have a special knife that I ordered from Tops Knives. It's called a Zero Dark 30 knife. It's sharp on the bottom, sharp on the top. It's serrated over here. Blade is about that long. I have it right here with me when I'm out there in the forest. It's my last ditch thing. I'm not going to go down easy. If this thing is going to take me and rip me apart and eat me, well, you're going to pay for it. But everybody has a right to self-defense, guys. Everybody has a right to self-defense. And, you know, I'm not out there to kill anything, and I'm not out there hunting it either. I am not a hunter. Even though I've been out there with my friends as backup, I am not out there as a hunter. I don't hunt animals. And I'm a researcher. I do the research. I do the field investigation. One thing I got to tell you is I'm definitely not a keyboard warrior. I'm out there doing field investigations. I've gotten 3 done in the last 4 weeks alone. I've been out there. We have, the NADP has a 3-day field investigation set up in the coming months in Virginia. And then we're going to take that same team. I'm going to meet the same team out there. We're going to take that same team into Missouri. And we're going to hook up with my good friend and our NADP Region 3. He's our forensic sketch artist, Vince Richardson. We're going to hook up with Vince and a couple of his people, and they've got reports out there. We're going to hit there. I wish I had a picture of it because we didn't purchase it yet. But, Nate, you're going to want to see this one, man. I'm telling you, if you can make it with us to LBL, that's another thing we have planned, guys. We had a plan for last year, but this COVID hit.
What are the dates again?
We don't have a specific date for LBL, but we're going to try to get, as far as I'm concerned, some of the big names. Nate Rudd, Greg Yost, our founder of the NADP, Jody Cook out there, myself. Vince Richardson, Nate, if you can make it, I'll make sure you get it ahead of time. We are going to get a, we're bargaining for a, how do you call this thing here? It's a 8-wheeler. I forgot the name of the thing, but it's an all-terrain vehicle, an 8-wheeler.
Argo? Yeah.
Argo.
And we're bargaining for one right now. We're going to have the setups inside, the antennas, the computers set up. I have to go down there and do the computer setup inside the vehicle. We'll be able to go from the front area right into the back without getting out of the vehicle. We got to make sure if we go into an area and we are attacked by anything that nothing's going to touch us. And you're going to see a big old NADP logo on there. I'm thinking of doing this logo.
Oh yeah,
on the side of the truck, on all 4 sides of it. I'll take care of all that stuff, but we've got some big things coming. And enough of this talk. I was up in Moscow, Maine in September of last year, and we had reports up there of Dogman activity. Now, I wrote about this, Nate. You probably read about my report, and I posted some pictures up and everything of it. We got into the area, and we didn't find anything. But what we did find was something people say doesn't exist, a mountain lion. There was mountain lion tracks up there and mountain lion scat. Now, Jean Tewksbury from the Cryptozoology Museum up in Maine, I think she's, oh God, she's about 60 miles away from Moscow, Maine. She met us up there, and she was also on the team that went looking around there. We went into an old, abandoned United States radar site in Moscow, Maine that used to monitor the Russians during the Cold War. This place is phenomenal. You wouldn't believe it. I mean, we actually got into the building. Now, if anybody knows me, they know I go by the motto, who dare win? I dare. I'm there, and this is the base, and we got on the base, and you got all these signs, do not enter, you know, blah, blah, but there's nobody around. We found the building, and we searched we breached the 2 levels of walls, and we got to the door, and somehow the door was open. Wow. And we got inside, and we took some pictures. It was super dark in there, guys. But looking around in this area with all the old computer room, I mean, computers were the size of like 3 15-foot by 15-foot rooms at the time. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. We were looking for Dogman activity over there. We found none. I don't have it down here, but I also, something else that I carry with me. I can compare it to a flare gun with a bang. I call it a bear flashbang. It's a flare gun that shoots out 22,000 lumens, but it also has a bang when it goes off. And I carry one of those with me because just in case, you never know. Boom. It's not going to kill anything, but it sure as shit should scare it. So when we were up there, we actually filmed the shooting of it. We shot it. It was pitch black up there in Moscow, Maine, in the forest area. It was freaking amazing. Which leads me to mention that people should get themselves a handheld light that's got like heavy lumens, like something like 50,000 lumens of light. It's handheld spotlight when they're out there. I have one in my car as a car emergency bag light, along with everything else that I carry with myself. Light is your friend out there. You definitely need light. Without that, you're dead meat. My hearing protection for when I go to the range has amplifiers in them. And I like to wear that when I'm in the forest because it actually amplifies all the sounds around me. And it gives me a little bit of an advantage. But I mean, well, look at your regular dog, like a German Shepherd. It can hear 40 times better than you can. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's got the nasal capacity to smell 65 times better. That bear that came up the tree at my buddy and I when we were on bow hunting season there for deer, that thing smelled his friggin' breakfast sandwiches. I know it did, because that thing was coming up that tree saying, "Oh, what is that?" You know, he would have got the sandwich or he got us. I was going to tell Ed, just toss the sandwich down there, but I shot him. I shot him in the snout, and it does work. A real quick one about bear spray. It does work on alligators too. There's a, I guess it's on YouTube someplace. I wish I can tell you guys which one to look for, but it's down in the Florida Everglades. You got a forest ranger with a camera crew and with about 7 people that he's taking through the forest area near the Everglades. And he's motioning with his back towards the river area. And this lady is saying, "Gator, gator." He turns around and he sees the gator and he trips and falls. This gator is coming right at him. It was a good 11-footer. He pulls his bear spray and blasts this thing right in the nose. Now, a gator is like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's got little arms, right? And he said the funniest thing, here he's terrified he's going to get bit. It hit the gator in the nose, and the thing's like this, trying to wipe its nose, and it's rolling in the dirt. And it finally rolled into the water and I guess got away. But that pepper spray is really good, guys. I don't know if any of you ever been hit with it, but being in law enforcement, the trainers in law enforcement have this sadistical background. All of them do. And they just go up to you and they tell you, put your eyes down like this, and they shoot you with it. You have to in order to pass the course. You got to see what it feels like. Thank God when we do the firearms course, they don't make you feel what that feels like. You know, oh, here, put on a vest. We're going to shoot you. How does that feel? You know, it feels like a Missouri mule just kicked me. Jeez. My God. I wanted to get into with you guys, and I'm going to need your input too. My research that I did for six months total of 367 encounters, Dogman and Sasquatch. And then I want to get deeper into some other stuff, which I didn't talk about ever before because a lot of this is coming out more and more. Now, out of all those incidents, about 92% of them had a white orb of light seen before they had the encounter, either Dogman or Sasquatch, and after the encounter. So an orb in the sky was seen 92% of the time. Less than 92% of the time, there was a light seen either before or after. Now, something else that I found out of these 367 encounters that I researched, after the encounter, anywhere from 20 minutes to 2 hours later, in the area was reported a UFO. Now, I'm not talking about an orb or anything like that. I'm talking about a craft that was seen. This is really, really going in my mind saying, what the heck is this? It's also making me think, what else can I carry with me to counter something? Because I'm not a ufologist. I'm not into UFOs, but I'm also not going to say aliens don't, exist. So, I mean, we've got a huge galaxy, a huge universe. Are we the only beings alive? How do I know? And I'm trying to be funny here. How do I know a Dogman isn't, or a Sasquatch isn't a pet of an alien? And they're just putting them on the ground saying, here, go ahead, go to potty now and come back. And they zip them back up. Now, when I was in Wyoming with my buddy and we were looking for Sasquatch, there was a bright, super bright light in the distance that lit up the night. And we're talking about 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, we didn't see anything. We did not see a Sasquatch of any sort, but we did hear the knocks. And then when the knocks went away, all the way in the distance, there was a bright light. Now, what is a bright light doing out there? Was it a comet? No, because I checked it out. I went on the internet and I checked it out to see if there was a comet or something supposed to be going overhead. There was nothing. So out of these 367 reports, this is where I need your input from the Sasquatch Bigfoot community. There is a certain thing called infrasound. Now, there were sounds heard. Any of you guys out there in your research ever hear voices or sounds like animal sounds out there that are not, not an animal?
lot of
Go ahead.
mimics. A lot of
Yeah.
mimics.
All right. So they're mimic sounds.
A
Now,
lot of mimics. A lot of unidentified. Yeah, we were talking about it a couple weeks ago. Like, got a lot of mouth popping.
oh yeah.
A lot of mouth popping, clicking, and it's unreal, and it's especially over the last just the last couple of years. Since I've kind of opened my mind up a little bit. I kind of grew up. Started out just thinking this thing was some ape, which I don't believe is the case anymore. I believe there's much more to it than that.
Yeah. Now, something people are asking me, when I'm saying infrasound, I mean, infrasound has a lot of different things to it. The mimicking is one, where you might hear a female voice, but there's another infrasound I'm talking about where it resonates directly at you and it affects your brain. And this type of infrasound can produce fear and anxiety.
It made me vomit.
There you go. Bowel spasms, nausea, vomiting, organ rupture. I mean, the United States military has actually used this against enemies, high volume infrasound. Now, who's to say that an alien or Sasquatch, if they are part alien, or even if they're not, they're using this against humans? Because I've had this report over and over and over again. And ever since I've mentioned infrasound, I've gotten reports from people sending me messages, through Facebook Messenger, and I've given my email out there and through emails. And because I run the NADP Region 3, I get tons and tons of reports every day about this. And a lot of times they are mentioning this infrasound. Now, something to go along with that, and Jeremiah, let me know if you had this experience, and you too, Gary, because you had that. Nate, I forgot to ask you, have you ever had an encounter with a Bigfoot?
I've had quite a few.
Okay. Mind speak. Have any of you guys ever had a thing called mind speak, where the Sasquatch is telling you, don't come any closer, or don't try to hurt me, because if you try to hurt me, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to, actually directly, I'm going to kill you. Anything like that, guys?
Well, my answer to that is, how do I say this? My wife's very special. She's had what she claims to, more direct than what I've been through, what I've experienced, and she's still not saying it was words. It was still able to understand one another. Now, what I experienced was the read I got off this female. When she looked and saw that, the barrel of that 300 Winchester Magnum over my shoulder, she kind of, she gave me the eyes, and I'll tell you I knew exactly what they were saying. And, they were saying, go ahead and try it. Because if you try it, you pull it off, we'll get you first, and you're not going to like the results. But if you leave it on your shoulder, I'm going to go my way, you're going to go yours, and we're going to be just fine. And, even if I had wanted to get it off my shoulder and take a shot, I was too frozen. I urinated myself. I was too frozen. I would not have been able to do it physically anyway.
That's all part of the things that I've gotten in reports from people. This is beyond the 367 reports and beyond me talking to the people in these reports and from these reports, the ones that I've been able to contact. I've been getting this for the last 2 months now, Facebook, email, and the whatnot. The same exact thing, bowels letting loose, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, and also forgetfulness. They say here, we let you see me, now go home. And suddenly you find yourself a half a mile away. This is what I've been told by these people now. This one fellow, he saw it, they let him see it, they got in his mind. come here, come a little closer, and we'll show you. He came there, he saw two of them. He didn't know what happened next because he was a half a mile away. And like a dozen feet away was the parking lot in the park that he had, the forest park where he had parked his vehicle. And he got back to it. He didn't know how he got there. He lost time. Any of you guys have experienced any of that?
I haven't personally, Nick. No, I have experienced what I think was infrasound. I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. I couldn't shout out to my son. It was late at night. We were in our tent, or we were in our tents. And these guys have heard this story. People have heard this before. But yeah, I didn't get sick necessarily, but I was frozen. I couldn't move. I couldn't talk. Couldn't shout out. So, I don't know. It seems like I was. I don't know what else would cause that. Wow. And then my son heard mumbling off in the distance around that same time that night. And we woke up and compared notes and put two and two together. And so we think that, we know they were in that area anyways. Yeah. So we think it came up close to us and possibly hit me with that, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Or some of that. And then, my son heard what he heard. So that's my little story along those lines.
Yeah, see, I never heard that one before from you. And this coincides with what Jeremiah said and what you're saying too. They're hitting you with the mind speak. They're hitting you with the infrasound. I mean, we're talking about two different things here. The infrasound is going to freeze you. It's going to give you the nausea and everything. And the mind speak, they're talking directly to you like, don't do it. Don't do it. Here, we'll let you see us. And it looks like they can also, stop you from remembering things. This leads me to something else that I'm thinking, like I said, outside the box. And one of my members and I have kind of touched on it, Ashira 7. I don't know if you've seen Ashira's posts on our on the NADP over there. She uses this herself with her ghost box. I was thinking of some sort of a Faraday cage. You know how in the old movies you'd see the guys with the aluminum foil over their heads? Yes. Well, they weren't far from it. A Faraday cage stops radio waves from affecting things. I'm personally thinking of putting a Faraday cage in my combat helmet because I personally don't want to be messed with. And I want my mind to be messed with. Jeremiah, did you, when you had that experience there, did you have any feeling that you lost any memory?
To this day, granted, let's keep in mind, I do have a brain injury from kickboxing. So that doesn't help matters. But yeah, I can safely say I have a lot of the time I have a lot of, I'll have trouble remembering detail and minutes. Seems like losing minutes every, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes there, with every one of my encounters, so
that's something else. Something else I wanted to mention that doesn't have anything to do with much, but protection of yourself. Gloves. Plain and simple. When anybody goes out there, besides the bear spray, bring some gloves.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh, how many? If you need to get away and you're, clawing at the side of a mountain and you're trying to get up there and get away from something, it's a lot easier to do it with a pair of gloves on. I mean, people may look at this interview later on and say, "Oh, that's so simple." Well, no, it can really save you. Those gloves.
Absolutely.
But in all honesty, that the mind speak that people talk about was actually more prevalent than I ever thought of before. Now, my encounter with that Dogman standing there, he didn't speak to me, but I got this feeling like I was insignificant to him. And I'm like, I'm sorry, man. No. I come from an alpha crew, and I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to attack you, but at the same time, I'm not going to back down. And he was just like, "You're insignificant," and walked away. I'm just wondering if he knew something I didn't know.
Hey, Nick, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
do you follow the missing 411 cases, Dave Politis?
Yeah.
The missing people. Do you think perhaps that what we've been talking about could be affecting people? You know, the people that do survive those cases, they seem to have lost time. They can't remember things. Maybe that's there's a connection there somehow.
That's where I started saying about thinking outside the box. That could be some sort of an abduction. You're right. You're absolutely right. Or it could have been some sort of a mind speak where they infrasound the person and just wipe their mind out so that they couldn't remember anything. There's a
Nick,
case.
You'll find this interesting. Not to cut you off, but
Go ahead.
My father's a New York State BCI agent, and he was actually on the Douglas slug case up here in the Adirondacks back in the 70s.
Wow.
Yeah. He wasn't the lead investigator, but he was, he was on the case. And I think, to this day, it still bothers him,
Definitely. There's an odd case in Pennsylvania that happened back in, I think it was 2003. The last name of the gentleman was Seeds, S-E-E-S, Seeds. And 39-year-old healthy guy, family man, coached the football team and everything. He took a ride. He took a ride up to the mountain ridge, and that was it. Never seen, wasn't seen from. But how did his body? His ATV was all the way at the top of the mountain. How did his body wind up 70 feet away from his house?
Right.
And